Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, February 7th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. It's been a very busy week, and we're here Sundays also, in addition to being here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. So on today's show, I posted on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, dealing with Colin Kaepernick. Okay. And Colin Kaepernick, Roger Goodell, this past week, we know Super Bowl 7 is on Sunday. Roger Goodell says Colin Kaepernick deserves our recognition and appreciation when it came to drawing attention to racism and police brutality and social injustice, things like this. Bleacher Report had a big article dealing with this. Now, it's interesting that Roger Goodell says this because Colin Kaepernick has not been hired by an NFL team. We know he was blackballed, basically going back to the 2016 season. But speaking to reporters, Roger Goodell said Kaepernick deserves, quote, our recognition and our appreciation, end quote, for voicing his concerns about systemic racism in 2016 while playing for the San Francisco 49ers. So we talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm a panelist usually each Friday on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and this was one of the topics that we discussed. So we're going to talk about that on tonight's show also. And there was another article that I saw from sportscasting.com. Colin Kaepernick found a way to upstage. Colin Kaepernick found a way to upstage the NFL at Super Bowl 55. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then the Black National Anthem. A lot of people are talking about the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Okay. We'll deal with some of the history of the Black National Anthem, written by James Weldon Johnson in 1899. A lot of people don't know the history about that. And I know Beyonce sung the Black National Anthem a few years ago, and I think it was at a Super Bowl. She sung it a few years ago, and you got some backlash from it. You had some people first of all, some people didn't know what the song was in the first place. Okay. Some people didn't know what the song was. So you had that. And then also there was some backlash as well. So we'll deal with some of the history of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, written by James Weldon Johnson in 1899. This is even before the NAACP came into existence. NAACP wasn't founded until 1909. Okay, so we'll talk about Colin Kaepernick, Roger Goodell. We'll refresh your memory on Colin Kaepernick's protest also, and then we'll deal with some of the history of the Black National Anthem. And then also there is a documentary airing on PBS on Monday dealing with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. PBS is going to rebroadcast a 1993 documentary on Black Wall Street. And this is tying into the 100th anniversary of the attack on Black Wall Street, which took place June 1st, 1921. All right. So we'll talk some about that. We know it's African American History Month. Okay. And this year's theme for African American History Month is the Black family representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family representation, identity, and diversity. So we'll talk some more about the history of African American History Month and Dr. Carter G. Woodson and this year's theme for African American History Month as well. There's an annual theme each year. There's been an annual theme going back to 1928. I've gone and researched all the annual themes for African American History Month. A lot of people don't know this, that there's an annual theme. And as you see some of my presentations, you hear me talk about this. I say we don't have to keep recycling the same 15 to 20 sanitized Negroes every year. That happens oftentimes at African American History Month celebrations. One, there's an annual theme to give us purpose and direction in this annual cultural celebration. Okay, number one. And number two, there's a lot more to it than a lot of people think. That's why we have to understand the history of these different celebrations that we are participating in. All right. That's why Dr. Shaka Musa Barashango's book is so important. African People and European Holidays and Mental Genocide. African People and European Holidays and Mental Genocide. That's why this is book one. I have book two also. Book two has a purple cover, at least this edition. I got this in probably about 2000. I think it's probably about 2010 or so. I got this book. So, and that book deals with the history of these European holidays that we celebrate. No, we have been taught to celebrate. And African American History Month is not something that white people gave us permission to celebrate. It's not something that we asked permission to celebrate. That's something we created ourselves. All right. So oftentimes we don't understand the history of what it is that we create, and then we denigrate it and say, why do we only celebrate our history in the month of February? Why they give us the shortest month of the year, or, idiotic stuff like that. You've heard it, right? So they didn't give us anything. We created this ourselves, and we took a month. Started out as a week, and then we took a month. All right. So we'll talk some about that. Leon Spinks, former heavyweight champion of the world, who beat Muhammad Ali in 1978 and then lost the title back to Ali. Leon Spinks passed away. He actually passed away on Friday. Okay, we got the news on Saturday. Most people got the news on Saturday. But he passed away at age 67, okay, following a bout with cancer. So we'll talk some about Leon Spinks, okay. In 2019, he had been hospitalized for treatment of prostate cancer that spread to his bladder. So we'll probably talk some more about him on Monday's show, depending upon how much time we can squeeze into this show here. But we'll talk a little bit about Leon Spinks. And then birthday shout outs. Bob Marley's birthday was February 6th, and Natalie Cole, her birthday was, I think, either February 5th or 6th. So we posted about that on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Also, February 7th is the birthday of one of my favorite actresses, Essence Atkins. You see, we posted about Essence Atkins here on our on the African History Network Facebook page. So we'll talk a little bit about birthday shout outs, and we'll continue that on Monday, because there was a number of them that I forgot what we didn't have time to get to on Thursday's show and Friday's show. All right. Now, my online course, the Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, that starts up Tuesday, February 9th, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And you've heard me talk about that. And I've been doing some broadcasts on our Facebook fan page dealing with that as well. That is a 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach. You can watch from around the world. We do 8 classes, 8 consecutive Tuesdays. And I think we're going to have some guest speakers in the classes also. All right. So We deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with events that led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place also. And we deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We deal with ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, and the African presence in the Americas going back tens of thousands of years. For more information, visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register there. Class is regularly $130. It's on sale $80. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content of the class from 2019 when I did the class in 2019. Okay. And we do the show live, but all the shows are archived and you can go back and watch them over and over again. So visit AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So a lot of people were asking, what am I going to do for African American History Month? So that's what I'm doing. Last time I taught that class, I think it was 2019. Last time I taught that class. All right, now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. You know, sometimes when I say relationships, love, sex, and health issues, and sometimes I forget relationships just jump to love and sex. Okay, it's not. I'm not trying to telegraph anything. You know, it's just. It's not that I want love and sex without relationships. You know, but this ain't about me. So let's continue. All right. Right. Relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. To sign up for our email newsletter. Also text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter as well, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, now, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network. You can support us through Cash App or through PayPal. $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. All right. Or at our website as well, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay. The calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Now, some people will probably ask you, Michael Imhotep, who do you have in the Super Bowl? Okay. Look at this shirt I'm wearing. You see this shirt? This is Colin Kaepernick. I don't have nobody in the Super Bowl because Kaepernick is still blackballed from the NFL. I know they paid him a settlement. Has he been hired by a team? I haven't watched the NFL game since 2016. Okay. And Kaepernick said it correctly. He said, I'm not going to stand for a flag that oppresses black people. But the full quote was, I'm not going to stand for a flag that oppresses black people and people of color. He wasn't just talking about African Americans. Okay. So we'll talk some about this on the other side of the break, and we'll deal with Roger Goodell's comments about Colin Kaepernick when I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered this past Friday. We discussed that. So we'll share that clip with you on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Kemeticwear.com is the go-to online source for Kemetic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Kemeticwear.com is inspired by KemeticScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at Kemeticwear.com.
For 5 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the makers for NBC Universal's Erase the campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com. Visit 4glossygirls.com. That's the number 4glossygirls.com, and follow them on Instagram at 4glossygirls.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, February 7th, 2021, and some people are watching the Super Bowl and other people are watching the African History Network show. And people ask me, who do you have? Well, basically, most people that know me know where I stand on this. Okay, so they know I haven't watched the NFL game since 2016. But some people ask me, you going to watch the Super Bowl? No. Who you have in the game? Who you have in the game? I don't care. But anyway, calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Usually each year, I talk about the spending that takes place, the consumerism behind the Super Bowl. When I used to watch the Super Bowl, because I have a background in marketing, I really wanted to see the Super Bowl commercials. And then also I would pay attention to the spending from the Super Bowl, the consumerism. I get that information from NRF.com, National Retail Federation. Okay. So it's expected this year that 185 million, the Super Bowl will have 185 million estimated viewers. And it's estimated that they will spend, the individual viewers will spend $74.55 on average for a total of $13.9 billion nationwide. when it comes to purchases surrounding the Super Bowl. We'll talk some more about that later. I want to get to this first topic here, dealing with Roger Goodell's comments about Colin Kaepernick. So there was an article from BleacherReport.com. BleacherReport.com from February 4th, 2021. Roger Goodell says Colin Kaepernick deserves our recognition and appreciation. Okay. Now, Roger Goodell, for those that don't know, Roger Goodell is the head of the NFL. Okay. And he works for the team owners. He's the commissioner, the NFL commissioner, but he works for the team owners. Okay. So he doesn't tell the team owners what to do. They tell him. Okay. Basically, that's how that works. Okay. He works for the team owners. If you look at this article here from Bleacher Report, Roger Goodell says Colin Kaepernick deserves our recognition and appreciation. This is from February 4th, 2021. So NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke about Colin Kaepernick during his annual State of the League address on Thursday. Speaking to reporters, Roger Goodell said Colin Kaepernick deserves, quote, our recognition and appreciation for voicing concerns about systemic racism in 2016 while playing for the San Francisco 49ers. He went on to say, I said clearly back in June, we wish we would have listened to players earlier, Roger Goodell added. It didn't start last summer. So he's talking about during the whole protest surrounding George Floyd. It didn't start last summer. It started over 2 years ago. And we've been working with the Players Coalition. All right. Now, back in June, when the whole protests were going on dealing with George Floyd, and I remember Roger Goodell making those statements. Okay, he said we wish we would have listened to the players sooner. Keep in mind, all this time has gone by. June 2020, all this time has gone by. Colin Kaepernick still hasn't been hired by a team, and I still really haven't seen much that the NFL has really been doing to deal with issues with diversity and more African-American coaches, African-American team owners, things like that. I mean, things of substance. Okay. You know, performing a Black national anthem at your games is nice. I mean, 70% of the team is African-American, 70% of the league is African-American. So, you know, but still, that's not the type of Colin Kaepernick didn't take a knee to have a Black national anthem sang at a game. Okay. So still, even though Roger Goodell may say one thing, the team owners who are mostly white, basically almost all of them are white. And, you know, you got some that may be technically not white, but somebody could make the argument they're passing, you know, because somebody could make the argument they're being treated like they're white. All right. But he said, I said clearly back in June, we wish we would have listened to players earlier. It didn't start last summer. It started over 2 years ago, and we've been working with the Players Coalition. Now, in August of 2020, in an August 2020 appearance on Emmanuel Acho's Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man video series, Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, expressed his regret for not listening to Colin Kaepernick when he was first speaking out about those issues. All right. So once again, like we talked about the crazy QAnon lady, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she stood on the House floor and cried white woman tears. Well, she didn't actually cry, but they were like virtual tears, so to speak. And, you know, said things like she was somehow she was allowed to believe in conspiracy theories. Like somebody put a gun in your head and make you believe conspiracy theories. Okay. Then the next day, after she got stripped of her 3 House committee assignments, then the next day she held a press conference and she was defiant and saying now, okay, it was a waste of time to be on the committees because they're not going to listen to Republicans, blah, 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 you know, things like this. So now she has more time to do interviews and build a coalition. Well, why were you on the committees in the first place if they were a waste of time? It's always after the fact Ever notice this? It's always after the fact. Then, because when she was on the House floor, she was talking about she's a Christian and believes in Jesus and all this stuff. But when she had the Facebook post of her with an AK-47 and the faces of Ilhan Omar, Representative Rashida Tlaib of the 13th Congressional District here in Detroit, and also of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she wasn't talking about Jesus then when she had the AK-47. It's always after they get caught, then they say, oh, we should have listened. Oh, you were right, blah, blah, blah. But they said it, but the actions from the NFL don't follow the contrition from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. So the article from Bleacher Report goes on to say, quote, I wish we had listened earlier, Cap, to what you were kneeling about and what you were trying to bring attention to, Roger Goodell said via Sports Illustrated's Nick Selb. He said, quote, we have invited him in several times to have the conversation, to have the dialogue. I wish we had the benefit of that. We never did. We would have benefited from that. Absolutely. Okay. Still, once again, is your words are saying one thing, but your actions are saying another. So early in the summer, in the wake of the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, many NFL stars appeared in a video demanding that the league, quote, condemn racism and a systematic oppression of black people, end quote. Quote, admit wrong in silencing our players from peacefully protesting and say that it believes that Black Lives Matter. All right. Now, Roger Goodell responded by admitting the league was wrong for not listening to the players and encouraging them to speak out, and said, quote, we, the National Football League, believe Black Lives Matter. Now, that was back in August of 2020. Kaepernick still hasn't had a real tryout, still hasn't been hired by a team. And what changes has the NFL really made? Now, Kaepernick opened the door for NFL players to peacefully protest on the sideline during games. He began kneeling during the national anthem throughout the 2016 season as a way to protest police brutality and the systemic oppression of black people and people of color. Okay, it may have been I think it's early 2017 when Cap left. When Cap left and got blackball, wasn't hired anymore. I hadn't watched the game, so this has been since early 2017 that I've seen the game. Now, since opting out of his contract with the 49ers in March 2017, Kaepernick has gone unsigned by all 32 teams. Imagine that. They say, we're sorry, we should have listened to you. You were right all along. Yeah, you were right all along. But he had a public workout for multiple teams in November 2019 at an Atlanta area high school after a private workout organized by the NFL fell through because of several concerns from the Kaepernick camp. Okay, so we talked about all this on the Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, February 5th, on the Friday, February 5th edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go to this clip, Jalen.
Second. I mean, I just the big issue for me are these folks who act like we don't have any eyes and we can't actually see what's going on. I mean, we're literally looking at you. This is sort of like, I use this example all the time. Imagine the four of us are talking. And no, imagine three of us are talking. Imagine it's me, Rob, and Amisha. And Michael comes up and Michael says, man, I'm hungry. Woo, I'm hungry. And I go, hey, Amisha and Rob, let's go get something to eat. Michael probably standing there like, I know his ass heard me say I was hungry. Did he? I'm standing right here, and he gonna ask two other people to let's go eat, and I'm standing right here.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and be straight. I want to say, look at here. We want white boys leading our teams. Okay? Y'all are more than welcome to be coordinators. Y'all can be wide receivers coaches. Y'all can be running backs coaches.
As long as you don't kneel.
We ain't hiring you as head coaches. Just go ahead and be honest with me. I mean, look, the one thing, the difference between a whites-only water fountain and integration, but then you don't hire me, I know exactly where you stand with that water fountain. I ain't got to guess where you stand. It's not hidden. These owners are full of crap. Every single one of them. Every single one of them full of crap.
You know, Roland, I don't know if were you coming to me next?
Yeah, so you go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, well, you mentioned me being hungry, which I am, but okay, anyway. So, it's interesting that last year, Roger Goodell said that the NFL was wrong about Colin Kaepernick and his protest. He came out and admitted it. Y'all remember that? He said, Colin Kaepernick was correct, right? But the league hasn't lived up to their actions don't coincide with Roger Goodell admitting that the league was wrong about Kaepernick's protest. Now, it's also important to note that Roger Goodell works for the team owners, and almost all of them are white. Okay, so they are, as you said, the team owners are perfectly fine with the way things are, unless there's some massive protest, and then they may do some cosmetic changes. Because then they don't want people to stop watching the games or, what have you. Now, I haven't watched an NFL game in 5 years because Colin Kaepernick hasn't gotten hired in the NFL. So I'm not watching the Super Bowl. You can watch it. You all can watch it if you want to, but I haven't watched an NFL game in 5 years. But it's important for us to go back and look at what Roger Goodell said last year in 2020, admitting that Kaepernick was correct, but they haven't taken the proper steps to correct those actions. But also, when Jay-Z got this big deal to produce the Super Bowl halftime show and do all this stuff, this inspirational music, things like this, wasn't that supposed to be about inclusion and all this stuff?
And we ain't heard nothing. We ain't heard not a damn thing from Jay-Z about the hiring coaches.
Remember when he had that meeting with Roger Goodell and it was broadcast, and he said, "Okay, now after you get their attention, and they say we hear you, then what's the next step?" Okay, what's the next step?
Checks.
That's all it was.
Checks and selling merchandise. That's all that was about. Checks and selling merchandise.
All right, pause it right there, Jalen. Pause it right there. Okay. We had a good show Friday. Yeah, so it's like because I remember the meeting Jay-Z had with Roger Goodell, and he said and when Jay-Z got his deal to produce NFL halftime shows and produce music, it's going to be social justice music for the NFL, things like this. I'm like, and Jay-Z said this is the next step in the fight and everything. I'm like, next step for who? What are you talking about? Next step? So I haven't heard anything from Jay-Z. Maybe you all have, but anyway. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to, is this Fally on line 1?
Yes.
Okay, how you pronounce your name?
How you doing? Sally.
Sally, Sally. Sally?
Yeah.
Okay, they spelled it with an F. They probably didn't hear you. Okay, that's why I said Sally. Okay, Sally. Where you calling from, Sally?
I have 2 questions to ask you if I could.
Okay, which city are you calling from, Sally?
Do any blacks own the station? Do any blacks own a team?
Do any blacks own a team? In the NFL,
Yeah.
I don't think. Let me see. In the NFL, I don't think there are any African American team owners in the NFL. I don't think. I don't think so. But go ahead.
Okay, that's the first question. Second question is President James Monroe.
Mhm.
Now, he gave the freed Africans an opportunity to go back to Africa, which many did. But why don't they talk about that in our history book? That's the kind of education I would think I would want my children to know.
You're talking about surrounding Liberia.
I don't know if I don't think they started it. Well, they might have gone there. I don't know, but it wasn't.
That's one because you're talking about Liberia. Well, it depends upon. I guess it depends upon where you're getting the information from. When you said they don't talk about it now, is it like a specific school or something that you're referring to, or is it a specific course or something? I would say it depends upon where you're getting the information from. But people can talk about it more.
Actually,
Go ahead.
I'm really thinking in terms of education and the curriculum. Our children stand back and push back and don't know much because they are ignored in the educational system. Now, here's something President James Monroe tried to, and they did go back to Africa. Many of them did. But that's never talked about in the book. And that's what I think is very important. Well, we don't have to just bow down to slavery if it wasn't 100% for us to think about.
Well, it depends upon which books you read. If you read like Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr., and I know some schools in Detroit public school system, like in the high schools, use Before the Mayflower. I mean, they talk about it in books like that. So it depends upon where you get the information from. People can check. So there are a few things people can do. You can check out sources online like blackpast.org, PAST, blackpast.org. They have 6,000 pages worth of articles dealing with African American history and African history. Blackpast.org, and if you give them a little donation, they won't mind either. Also, check out this article here from history.com. History.com is the official website of the History Channel. Why African nationals? Why African nations capital? Hold on, what's the name of this? Why African nations capital is named for a U.S. president. The capital of Liberia is called Monrovia, and it's named for James Monroe, who was the fifth president. Okay, so you're gonna have some, but for I've looked at Monrovia before. And you had the American Colonization Society who help organize that as well. You have people talking about going to Ghana and relocating to Ghana and reconnecting to African history and African culture. I know some people have done that. Two of my teachers, they're part owner of a hotel in Ghana, Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Professor James Small. Okay. All right. So check out this information. Okay. Thanks for calling, Sally.
Thank you so much for that information. Great.
Okay.
I enjoy your show.
All right. Thank you. Keep listening. Okay. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Check out the article here from history.com. This is one of many dealing with Liberia. And Liberia was established in 1822 by the American Colonization Society. They were founded about 1817, the American Colonization Society. All right. So, when I looked at, let's see, by the time some 10,000 free blacks had relocated there, looking at in 1847, and the American Colonization Society was largely defunct by the early 20th century. Today, Liberia, whose motto is "The love of liberty brought us here," is Africa's oldest republic. It's been estimated that about 5% of the population are descendants of slaves. Okay, so check out information there about Monroe. Now, there have been conflicts between the continental Africans there and the descendants of those coming from the U.S. So that's a whole nother show. All right, so check out that article. Okay, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Let me get back to, I want to get back to this article here from Bleacher Report dealing with Colin Kaepernick. And there was also one from, there was another one from sportcasting.com. And this one ties into the mural that Ben and Jerry's put up of Colin Kaepernick. Okay, and this is something surrounding Super Bowl 55 as well. So there was an article from sportcasting.com. Colin Kaepernick found a way to upstage the NFL at Super Bowl 55. Colin Kaepernick found a way to upstage the Super Bowl at the NFL at Super Bowl 55. Okay. And let's pull up this one here also. So they talk about the fact, it's been more than 4 years since Colin Kaepernick took an NFL snap. And Kaepernick has used this time away from the league to ramp up his social change efforts. We know he has your Know Your Rights camp through various partnerships. With the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers set to play Super Bowl 55, the former quarterback found a way to upstage Super Bowl 55. Now, there was a tweet from Ben and Jerry's, and we're going to pull this up here. It says Kaepernick7, which is his Twitter handle, so you can follow him on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter. Kaepernick7 is continuing to build a future where Black youth feel seen, heard, loved, and honored. Okay, and we're going to show you this actual tweet here, those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. All right, let's look at this here. So Kaepernick7 is continuing to build a future where, let's get this ad out of here. Was that from grocery store or something? Where Black youth feel seen, heard, loved, and honored. A 90 by 30 mural, 90 foot by 30 foot mural created by Kaepernick's friend, activist at 2 Cent B Mike celebrates Tampa youth and joy on the journey to justice. Okay, so this is a picture of the mural here that was, let's bring this up on Twitter. So we can bring this up here. This is a picture of the mural. It's a beautiful mural as well. And it says, Know My Rights. So it has one African-American girl here. And it says, Know My Rights. And let's see, let's bring this up on Twitter so you can see it. Okay. It says, Know My Rights. And you see the mural on the mural, you see Kaepernick. So this is in Tampa, Florida, this mural. So Ben and Jerry's tweeted about this, and a lot of people are talking about this mural and Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights camp as well. Now, with the NFL set to play Super Bowl 55 between Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kaepernick found a way to keep his name in the picture. According to People.com, People magazine, his partnership with Ben and Jerry's has led the ice cream company to unveil both a mural and billboards in Tampa, Florida, ahead of Sunday's Super Bowl. The artwork displays Kaepernick along with the phrase, I know my rights, which references his nonprofit organization, Know Your Rights Camp. Now, the group's mission is to advance the liberation and well-being of Black and brown communities. All right. And I want to flip back over to the actual article so you can see this as well. Check out this article once again for this is from sportscasting.com. Now, in your children's schools, I remember when I was in high school and we had I think in world history class, Mrs. Harbor in Cass Technical High School, 10th grade. I mean, in high school, I didn't like history because they didn't teach African history, African American history. But I liked current events day. So on Fridays, we could bring in 3 articles. We didn't have internet back then, but we can bring in 3 articles from the newspapers or magazines and talk about them in class. You know, this would be a good topic here to talk about in class. So although Kaepernick, let's see, let me scroll back down here. Okay, so the artwork displays Kaepernick along with the phrase, "I know my rights," which references his nonprofit organization, Know Your Rights Camp. The group's mission is to advance the liberation and well-being of Black and Brown communities. Advance the liberation and well-being of Black and Brown communities. Now, the mural is titled Change the World, WHIRLED, Change the World. And the mural is created through a partnership with artist activist Brandon B. Mike Odums, ODUMS. The artwork displays young people of color wearing various shirts and the wording, "Power to the people and I know my rights." Power to the people and I know my rights. Now, Kaepernick is also on the mural wearing one of those shirts while holding up a fist that symbolically unites him with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm going to flip back over here to the mural so you can see it. So once again, it's a very, very good piece of artwork. Okay, so Kaepernick is also on the mural wearing one of those shirts while holding up a fist that symbolically unites him with the Black Lives Matter movement. The Know Your Rights Camp, his Know Your Rights Camp began in 2016, and it holds a 10-point system that helps African Americans and Latinos having their rights to be free. Having their right to be free, healthy, safe, loved, courageous, alive, trusted, educated, brilliant, and knowing their rights. Ben & Jerry's has been one of the most socially active companies in the country over the last several months. They have significantly advocated for social justice. Okay, they have significantly advocated for social justice while bringing tremendous attention to those that lost their lives in these unfortunate incidents involving police brutality. Now, then they talk about how Roger Goodell voices praise towards Colin Kaepernick. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke highly of Colin Kaepernick on Thursday, that was February 4th, at his State of the League conference ahead of the Super Bowl. Okay, very, very interesting how after the fact they want to speak so highly of you. Okay. All right. So check out this article as well. Here, this is from sportcasting.com. And they go on to say Colin Kaepernick just had a legendary rap artist support him. Let's see. Kaepernick's message has garnered much support. Voicing this, he can now add the backing from a legendary rap artist. Trying to see who that hip hop artist is. Okay, we'll try to find out. Let me see. All right, so we'll deal with that on the other side of the break. I know we're coming up here on the break. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about the Black National Anthem. The Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing. Okay, so there may be some people that don't know there is a Black National Anthem or something like that. I don't know how many African American friends you have, but it was written by James Weldon Johnson in 1899. Now, I talked about this in 2019. I did some lectures dealing with 6 principles of political self-defense, 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. And I talked about Beyonce performing the Black National Anthem at Coachella. I was thinking it was a football game. It was actually Coachella, okay, in 2018. So a lot of people remember this, right? Beyonce performed the Black National Anthem. She had a Black marching band, you know, like an HBCU band or something like that. And there was an article from the Washington Post, Lift Every Voice and Sing, the story behind the Black National Anthem that Beyonce sang. So because of Beyonce singing the Black National Anthem at Coachella in 2018, this was like April 2018, this caused a lot of people to start asking, okay, what's that song? What's the history behind the Black National Anthem? Things like that, right? So on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about James Weldon Johnson and the Black National Anthem that Beyonce sung at Coachella. Then this past week, Vice President Kamala Harris and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, they held a virtual roundtable discussion with Black chambers of commerce all across the country. Okay, I think it was about 140 Black chambers of commerce, and they're talking about how the American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden is pushing, the $1.9 trillion coronavirus American Rescue Plan, how that will benefit African American owned businesses. Okay, and we also talked about that on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So we're going to deal with that on the other side of the break. If you'd like this type of information, also you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show, paypal.me / the AHN Show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And so keep broadcasting 6 days a week and stay on the air, keep doing the research, pay some of the bills, etc. My online course starts up Tuesday, February 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. It's a 16-hour, 8-week course, 8 consecutive Tuesdays. We do it live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. You can watch from around the world. Visit AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register there. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
With BlackBusinessTea.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business. Know your numbers and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business, encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessTea.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com.
Do you have an idea or business that requires app development or thinking of moving your IT resources to the cloud? We have post-paid and profit-sharing plans for unique ideas or profitable businesses. Who can take advantage of this unique program? Entrepreneurs with unique ideas, startups, small to medium businesses. Contact us, 267-209-0352.
Visit nomadicsystems.net, nomadicsystems.net today. Intuitive Design Clothing is an online accessory store that sells one-of-a-kind search statement pieces for men and women. They also specialize in fashion consultations, closet organization, and decorating small spaces. Are you looking for a statement piece for a special affair, or would you like to add some select pieces to your ensemble of accessories? If you're looking for something different, definitely contact Kathy Norman, owner and CEO of Intuitive Design Clothing. Visit their website, intuitivedesignclothing.com. That's intuitivedesignclothing.com, and you can email her at info@intuitivedesignclothing.com. Intuitive Design Clothing is where every entrance is a grand entrance.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Comedicwear.com is the go-to online source for comedic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Comedicwear.com is inspired by ComedicScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at comedicwear.com.
Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, Future Radio. Yeah, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, February 7th, 2021. And we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about Colin Kaepernick, Roger Goodell's comments on Thursday, February 4th at a press conference saying that the league should have listened to Colin Kaepernick, and he was right about systemic racism and things like this. BleacherReport.com has an article. Roger Goodell says Colin Kaepernick deserves our recognition and appreciation. It's always after the fact that they want to admit that you were correct. And then also we talked about a mural and a partnership between Colin Kaepernick and his Know Your Rights camp and Ben and Jerry's, and a mural erected in Tampa, Florida, that is drawing a lot of attention also. All right. Now, in the first segment of the show, I was talking about the money generated from the NFL. And if we look at National Retail Federation, so when you hear on the news and they talk about how much money is going to be spent on the NFL and how much individual viewers are going to spend, or they talk about Christmas, on average, how much money the average American will spend during Christmas, that usually comes from surveys done by the National Retail Federation. So you can visit their website, nrf.com. 2021 Super Bowl, over 185 million estimated viewers, over 185 million estimated viewers. The latest consumer spending data from the National Retail Federation and Prosper Insights and Analytics 2021 Super Bowl survey found that 186.6 million U.S. adults say they plan to tune into the big game. I'm not one of them. With the ongoing impact of COVID-19, it's no surprise that consumers' Super Bowl celebration traditions took a look a little different this year. Okay. While many typically use the game as an excuse to get together with friends, just 28% say that they will be throwing or attending a party or watching the game at a bar, the lowest in the survey's history. Only 28% say they will be throwing or attending a party or watching the game at a bar, the lowest in the survey's history. But just because we might have to celebrate differently this year, it doesn't mean everything has to change. Over the past year, consumers have become experts at making traditional events feel as normal as possible, from stocking up on fun food and beverages to team apparel or splurging on a new TV. 86% of viewers are planning to make purchases to help mark the occasion. 86% of viewers are planning to make purchases to mark the occasion. And let me pull this up here. Let's see, which one is this here? Okay. From NRF.com, National Retail Federation. People surveyed individuals surveyed plan to spend $74.55 on average for a total of $13.9 billion nationwide in expected spending on the Super Bowl. Okay, and they have a graphic here as well. 186.6 million adults plan to watch the Super Bowl. On average, they would spend $74.55. Food and drinks are the most popular purchases. 77%. Let's see, food, beverages, 77%. Team apparel, 11%. TVs, 9%. Okay, how they're going to spend their money, what they're going to purchase. All right, so check that out at NRF.com, National Retail Federation. So let's deal with some of the history here of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. So back in 2018, a lot of attention was given to the Black National Anthem because Beyonce sung it at Coachellea, okay, the big concert Coachellea. And Washington Post has an article, Lift Every Voice and Sing, the story behind the Black National Anthem that Beyonce sang. This is from April 16th, 2018. All right. So, and we're just going to leave this picture here because I just like to have a picture of Beyonce up. But so in 1899, a young poet and school principal, and we're going to do it like this. We'll leave the picture up. I'll just open this up in another tab. That's what we're going to do. All right. All right, that's how we're going to do that one. So in 1899, a young poet and school principal named James Weldon Johnson was asked to address a crowd in Jacksonville, Florida, for the coming anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. All right, so Lincoln was assassinated in April of 1865. Lincoln's birthday is February 12th. All right, so you're going into a new century. And incidentally, you know, we talked about Zara Cully, okay? Mother Jefferson from the Jeffersons, Zara Cully. So we all remember Mother Jefferson from the Jeffersons, right? So she died in 1978. Her birthday was a couple weeks ago. I talked about that. I talked about her on this show for her birthday. Zara Cully, Mother Jefferson from the Jeffersons, was born in 1892. She was born in 1892. She when she passed away in 1978, she was about 86 years old. But she was born in 1892. She was born 7 years before James Weldon Johnson wrote Lift Every Voice and Sing. She was born 7 years before James Weldon Johnson wrote Lift Every Voice and Sing. Zara Cully, Z-A-R-A, Zara Cully, Mother Jefferson from the Jeffersons. She was born 3 years before Frederick Douglass died. Frederick Douglass died in 1895. The Frederick Douglass that Donald Trump talked about, instead more people are hearing about him every day. You remember the Black History Month celebration he was sitting there with the Black Republicans, right? Zara Cully was born 3 years before Frederick Douglass died. Okay, so just to put all this in perspective. And she was born 27 years after slavery ended and 27 years after the Civil War ended. All right. So he was asked to write he was asked to address a crowd for the coming anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Just 2 decades had passed since the Reconstruction era, and lynchings were on the rise in the segregated South. Instead of preparing an ordinary speech, James Weldon Johnson decided to write a poem. He began with a simple but powerful line. It was a call to action. Lift every voice and sing. Okay. And he paced back and forth on his front porch, agonizing over the lines of the poem. So basically, when you study this, he basically said it was like the ancestors speaking to him, the words of the ancestors coming to him. I want to go to this slide here and we'll go back to the phone lines. 313-778-7600 is calling number. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to go to this slide here. We'll pull this up because this deals with the history of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Let's pull this up here. Okay, there we go. All right. All right, so James Weldon Johnson wrote in 1899, and then so he began with a simple but powerful line, a call to action: lift your voice and sing. He paced back and forth on his front porch, agonizing over the lines of the poem. After finishing each stanza, he handed over the lyrics to his classically trained brother, John Rosamond Johnson, who put the words to music. Okay, so John Rosamond Johnson writes the melody for Lift Every Voice and Sing. Okay, he writes the melody. So in 1899, just 2 decades had passed since Reconstruction, the Reconstruction era. Reconstruction ends in 1877, and lynchings were on the rise in the segregated South. Instead of preparing an ordinary speech, James Weldon Johnson decided to write a poem, and the Lift Every Voice and Sing, the first lines of it evoke the struggle and resilience of our ancestors. And it also deals with the hope of what's to come in the new century. The hope of what's to come in the new century. Now, after finishing each stanza, he handed over the lyrics to his brother. According to an account from James Weldon Johnson, recalled from James Weldon Johnson in the book, Anthem, Social Movements and the Sound of Solidarity in the African Diaspora by Shauna L. Redmond. Anthem, Social Movements and the Sound of Solidarity in the African Diaspora by Shauna L. Redmond. Now, as he wrote the words evoking the struggle and the resilience of his ancestors, James Weldon Johnson began to weep. He said, quote, "I could not keep back the tears and made no effort to do so," end quote, he recounted. The following year, in the year 1900, a chorus of 500 school children performed the song at the Lincoln celebration. The song quickly took off, becoming a rallying cry for African American communities in the South, or as one observer noted at the time, quote, "a collective prayer," end quote, a collective prayer. Now, it was embraced as a hymn in churches and performed at graduation ceremonies and in school assemblies. Within 20 years, the NAACP adopted Lift Every Voice and Sing as its official song. Now, the NAACP wasn't founded to 1909. Okay, they were founded in 1909, and James Weldon Johnson was a member of the NAACP. And it was also in 1917 that James Weldon Johnson is going to organize the silent march, the silent march up and down Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, and there were 10,000 African Americans marching, and they were fighting for a federal anti-lynching bill. This is in 1917. That took place, that silent march in 1917 of 10,000 African Americans marching down Fifth Avenue in Manhattan took place after the 1917 East St. Louis, Illinois race riot. Okay. And this is during the Great Migration. This is during the beginning of the Great Migration, which starts in 1915. And this is 2 years after the movie The Birth of a Nation debuted, February 8th, 1915. Okay, so when you start looking at this timeline and you start seeing these increases in lynchings taking place, you see us fight back against that as well. All right, let's continue here. So the song was embraced as a hymn in churches and performed at graduation ceremonies and in school assemblies. Within 20 years, the NAACP adopted Lift Every Voice and Sing as its official song. For generations to come, it would be known widely as the Black National Anthem. The Black National Anthem. Now, you've heard me talk about this before because, you know, at the Super Bowl, they sing the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. And I call that the white national anthem. Well, why do you call that the white national anthem? Because who wrote it? Francis Scott Key. When did he write it? September 13th, 1814, during the War of 1812. Who did he write it about? White people. And he was a white supremacist slave owner who thought that African people were mentally inferior. I know the third stanza. So some people say, well, the third stanza of the song is racist, and they took the third stanza out. No, it's the entire song. You have to understand who Francis Scott Key was. And when he talks about the third stanza, no refuge for the hireling or the slave, he's talking about the colonial Marines. And the colonial Marines was a regiment for the British of basically runaway slaves who were fighting on behalf of the British. Because see, the British during the War of 1812, just like they did during the American Revolutionary War, they told the slaves that the U.S. had, if you come fight for us when this war is over, we'll set you free. So when you go study American Revolutionary War, we were born at night, but not last night. There was more black people fighting on behalf of the British than it was the U.S. Because they said they were the first ones to say, if you come and fight for us, we'll set you free when the war is over. So it was like, you before they finished the sentence, we were gone. So then you look at the war of 1812, same thing happened then. So and when you study Francis Scott Key, his regiment got their behinds kicked about 3 weeks prior to him writing that song. It started out as a poem. He writes the poem, Francis Scott Key, right? He writes the poem during it was originally called Defense of Fort McHenry, because Fort McHenry then in Baltimore is being attacked by the British. All right. So it was originally called Defense of Fort McHenry. Then it's going to be renamed the Star Spangled Banner, and it's going to eventually be adopted as the as the national anthem. As the national anthem. Okay. But I mean, Francis Scott Key used his position as district attorney there in Washington, D.C. to prosecute and attack abolitionists. Okay, there was this is why a lot of these people that are held up as big heroes and things that you really got to you have to go study them. Be like, heroes for who? Okay, I mean, there was one abolitionist, Francis Scott Key, tried to have the guy lynched. I mean, well, not lynched, executed. Tried to have him executed because the abolitionist was caught with abolitionist pamphlets, right? So it's like when people, start talking about Francis Scott Key and the national anthem and things like this, I'm like, you ever studied the history of this stuff? Okay, so there was an article from which one was that? Was that history.com? I think it was history.com. There was a good article dealing with Francis Scott Key, and let me see. The history.com has one. Francis Scott Key pens the national anthem. There's another one that deals with Francis Scott Key and this abolitionist named Reuben Crandall. All right. And I'm going to see if I can pull this up here, because I have a whole file folder dealing with this information. I don't have it with me right now. But Reuben Crandall was a abolitionist that Francis Scott Key tried to have executed. Let me see. Then Francis Scott Key. Okay. This article here from Smithsonian.com. This is a really good article. SmithsonianMag.com. And I did about a 3-hour lecture dealing with It's called the Racist History of the White National Anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. It's available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, where I get into this history and the history of the Pledge of Allegiance, because the Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1892 by a socialist minister named Francis Bellamy. Okay. So for all the Republicans that talk about the Pledge of Allegiance, all this stuff, it was a socialist that wrote it, just in case y'all don't know, because you probably don't. But where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? Because this article here from SmithsonianMag.com, official website of the Smithsonian Institute, this talks about Francis Scott Key being a slave owner, and feeling that African people were mentally inferior and things like this, right? So that's why it's like read all the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner, but then go study the history of the man that wrote it. And you see why I call it the white national anthem. All right. Now, let's see. We're coming up here on a break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. Okay. And we'll get into, we're going to talk about the meeting that Vice President Kamala Harris had with African-American owned businesses as well, and dealing with the plight of African-American owned businesses during this coronavirus economy, and how the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden and many Democrats are pushing, how that will help African-American owned businesses. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, stand by, everybody. We'll be back in just a minute here. All right, stand by. We'll be back from break just a minute here. How's everybody doing? All right, who still needs to register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school? We're going to post the information here. You can register for it. As soon as you register, you can start watching the bonus content. You can start watching the class I did in 2019. And you can start watching that information. You can start watching that information from 2019. Okay, we got to pay that. Why didn't that go through? No, that should go through. Well, you can watch it, Ronnie. You can watch it at your own pace. We do the classes live. All the classes are archived. You can go back and watch it at your own pace. So if you can't watch it to Thursday, you don't have to be in the class live. It's all archived. So we do the class live. It's all recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again at your own pace. So if you can't attend the class live and you just say you just watch it every Thursday and Friday, you can do that. That's fine. You don't have to be in class. You don't have to be present in class. I'm not going to take attendance. Okay. We're not going to give out a grade. You can watch it at your own pace. All right, just a second. Let me get ready for this here. And we'll be back in just a minute here.
Mom, it's telling me we need to get out of the house and have some fun in nature today.
Come to the forest where the more
All right, African American business owners, post the name of your business here in the thread of the broadcast also, and email us at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, February 7th. It's Sunday, February 7th, 2021. And we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. All right, internet's running a little slowly for some reason. All right, so welcome back to the show. It's Sunday, February 7th, 2021. We are live. Right before the break, we were talking about some of the history of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, written by James Weldon Johnson in 1899. We know in 2020, they performed it at the Super Bowl, and in 2018 at Coachellea, Beyonce performed the song at Coachellea. And because of Beyonce performing the song, a lot of people learned about it, and there were articles written about it, like this one here from the Washington Post. And it ties into a lot of history as well. And then that also ties into the history of the writing of the Star Spangled Banner, written by Francis Scott Key in 1814 during the War of 1812. Now, I was, right before the break, we were talking about this article from SmithsonianMag.com, which is the official website of the Smithsonian Institute. They have a really good article here, and this deals with Francis Scott Key. Where's the debate of Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? And one of the things they talk about in this article, let's see. Ironically, while Francis Scott Key was comprising the line or the land of the free, it is likely that black slaves were trying to reach British ships in Baltimore Harbor. They knew that they were far more likely to find freedom and liberty under the Union Jack, which is the flag of the British, than they were under the Star Spangled Banner. So they're talking about the slaves of the U.S., okay? You had African slaves from the U.S. side going to fight for the British because the British said, if you come fight for us, when this war is over, we'll set you free, all right? Now, additionally, Francis Scott Key used his office as the district attorney for the city of Washington from 1833 to 1840, to defend slavery. Okay, to defend slavery. So this is the hypocrisy. Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner, the Star Spangled Banner, okay, and they perform at the Super Bowl and that they perform at the football games. He used his position as district attorney for the city of Washington from 1833 to 1840 to defend slavery, attacking the abolitionist movement in several high-profile cases. See, once again, this is why I said this is the white national anthem. Because when you go read all the lyrics, you understand it's taking place during the War of 1812. You understand what's happening there, and you have African slaves going to the British side to fight for the British because they say we'll set you free when the war is over. And then you have the man that wrote the Star Spangled Banner, who was a white supremacist slave owner and whose family made money from owning slaves, and he thought Africans were mentally inferior, but he used his position as district attorney for the city of Washington to defend slavery and attack abolitionists. He attacked the abolitionist movement in several high-profile cases. Now, in the mid-1830s, the movement was gaining momentum with the abolitionist movement. In the mid-1830s, the movement was gaining momentum, and with it came increased violence, particularly from pro-slavery mobs attacking free African Americans and white abolitionists. The mobs were attacking free African Americans and attacking white abolitionists, and other methods to silence the growing cries for abolition. In a House of Representatives and United States Senate, inundated with petitions from abolitionists calling for the ending or restriction of slavery, pro-slavery congressmen looked for a way to suppress the voices of abolitionists. In 1836, the House of Representatives passed a series of gag rules to table all anti-slavery petitions and prevent them from being read or discussed, raising the ire of people like John Quincy Adams, the sixth president, son of John Adams, the second president, who saw restricting debate and assault on a basic First Amendment right of citizens to protest and petition. Okay. Now, in the same year, shortly after a race riot in Washington, D.C., when an angry white mob set upon a well-known free African-American restaurant owner, Francis Scott Key likewise sought to crack down on the free speech of abolitionists he believed were riling things up. Okay? Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, or the land of the free and the home of the brave, all this nice fluffy stuff. Okay? That stuff that didn't apply to Negroes. Francis Scott Key likewise sought to crack down on the free speech of abolitionists he believed were riling things up in the city. Francis Scott Key prosecuted a New York doctor living in Georgetown for possessing abolitionist pamphlets. But what's all that free speech stuff? Francis Scott Key prosecuted a New York doctor living in Georgetown for possessing abolitionist pamphlets. In the resulting case of the U.S. versus Reuben Crandall, Francis Scott Key made national headlines by asking whether the property rights of slaveholders outweighed the free speech rights of those arguing for slavery's abolishment. Now, Francis Scott Key hoped to silence abolitionists who he charged wished to, quote, associate and amalgamate with the Negro, end quote. And you wonder why I don't sing the white national anthem. So though Reuben Crandall's offense, Reuben Crandall was the abolitionist who Francis Scott Key prosecuted, okay, and in resulting case, U.S. versus Reuben Crandall made national headlines by asking, okay, though Reuben Crandall's offense was nothing more than possessing abolitionist literature, Francis Scott Key felt that abolitionist free speech rights were so dangerous that he sought unsuccessfully to have Reuben Crandall hanged. Well, wait a second. It's supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. You trying to get a abolitionist hanged, executed because he had abolitionist pamphlets? But it's the land of the free and the home of the brave, but you justifying the enslavement of African people. And I'm supposed to sit here and sing this song. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Hillary. Line 1. Hillary, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from, Hillary.
I'm calling from Detroit, Michigan.
From Detroit. All right, go ahead, Hillary.
What would you like me to speak of?
You called us. Did you have a question or comment? You're live on the air. You have a question or comment?
Yeah, what did I just witness?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Jalen, check with Hillary. Make sure she has the right show here. Okay, and then get back with me. Okay, let's go to this next topic here. So check out this article here from SmithsonianMag.com. This is the official website of the Smithsonian Institute. This deals with Francis Scott Key. Where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? Where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slave-holding legacy? Okay. Now, if you want to sing the white national anthem, you want to sing Star Spangled Banner, I'm not saying don't sing it. Don't expect me to sing it. Because I know the history of Francis Scott Key, who wrote it. Now, lift every voice and sing. I'm all for that. And also, as I've said before, there needs to be a new national anthem written that's inclusive of the people who are, here in America now. There needs to be a new national anthem. This one right here from 1814, this was written by white people, for white people, largely about white people, voted on by white people in the Congress. First, it was Woodrow Wilson who did an executive order, okay, in about 1913 or something like that. And then it was voted on in Congress. It took a number of times to be voted on to be made like the national anthem. Okay, so it was written by white people, about white people, for white people, voted on by white people. So if you want to sing it, I'm not saying don't sing it. Don't expect me to sing it. 1. 2, there needs to be a new national anthem. Okay, there needs to be a new national anthem, which is inclusive of the people who are here today and understanding the history of this country, but fighting to create a better country, moving toward justice, moving towards liberty, fighting for a more perfect union. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. This is the African History Network show, so when you call in, hopefully you know where you're calling. Okay, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Let's see here. Let's go to this next story. So on our, I think it was Friday. It was Friday. Vice President Kamala Harris and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, they held a virtual town hall meeting with African American owned businesses. Okay. And I talked about this on my show Friday. And we also talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered as well on Friday when I was a panelist. This is extremely important because this deals with the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, the American Rescue Plan. And it deals with how the American Rescue Plan impacts African American owned businesses. Okay. Let's go to this clip here, Jalen.
The thing here, Michael, is the Republican governor of West Virginia was begging for the money. Well, he used to be a Democrat, then he flipped to Republican when Trump was there. Don't be shocked if he flips back to Democrat while Biden is there. And so he made the point they needed the money. Because Republicans did not like this particular bill because they felt that it was too much money for local and state governments, for them bailing them out when they really only want to target those blue cities, those blue states. Again, if Democrats are smart, every move you make is all about how you are helping those who make less than $200,000 or $300,000 a year. If you are a family out there and you're making 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 grand, trust me, you don't give a damn about somebody making five times as much money as you, who all of a sudden it says, well, what about us? Trust me, if you're making combined 300 grand a year, you're doing fine compared to most Americans.
Yeah, for the most part, that's true, Roland. And it's interesting you mentioned some of the governors, because you're going to have a lot. I think you're going to have a lot of Republican governors. They have a lot of poor white people in their states who need this money. And the other thing is, blue-leaning states or Democratic states contribute more each year to the federal taxpayer pot than red states, than Republican states. And this is something that New York pointed out a few months ago to Moscow Mitch McConnell, who's in a very poor state, Kentucky, Mitch McConnell. So I think what they're doing is a really good strategy to push this. I think you may have, like in the House, you may have a handful, maybe some of those 11 Republicans that voted to strip Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments. You may have a handful of that, but we can't wait. And it's extremely important for them to connect these policies to the economy and to the economic conditions of individuals. The reason why is because 2022 midterm elections are right around the corner. And as TheGuardian.com pointed out, and I've dealt with on my show and you've dealt with on your show, Republicans in state legislatures across the country have introduced 106 bills to make it harder to vote, especially for African Americans and Latinos, et cetera. So we have to make a clear connection between these policies in Washington, D.C. and the economic conditions down on Main Street.
And again, hopefully you will have an administration that actually says, let's put the money where there is most in need. Today, Vice President Harris, as well as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, sat down with Black business leaders to talk about this very issue. Here's some of that 1 hour discussion.
February, it is Black History Month, but I think as we all are concerned, Black History Month is every month. And so this conversation is not only for today, it is part of an ongoing conversation we intend to have with you as the leaders that you are. And when we look at our Black businesses in our country, they range. We are talking about software companies. We're talking about healthcare companies. Yes, we're also talking about the beauty shop and the barber shop, but we are also talking about healthcare. We are also talking about childcare. We're also talking about manufacturing, because Black businesses, of course, are engaged in the business of keeping America running. And so in every sector, these businesses are present. And that is how we think of then the role that you play, but also our responsibility to support you in all of those sectors. And during this pandemic, as the Secretary has said, this has been rough. We have all seen estimates that as many as 40 to 50% of Black businesses have closed, perhaps permanently. Nationally, we know small businesses, of which the majority of Black businesses are, employ 50% of America's workforce, either because that worker is a small business owner or works for a small business. So when we're talking about the impact on the overall economy and country, it's profound. And our research also has shown that in the pandemic, and this is something that is a lived experience for many of you and your members, the PPP program was not accessible to so many of our Black-owned businesses. And it had to do with a multitude of issues, which included that those businesses were not necessarily engaged with the big banks, didn't necessarily have the familiar or the consistent relationship, if not any relationship, with a banker who could then call somebody up and say, Miss, this thing is coming down and this is how you apply for it. But what we know is those relationships do exist. And so for whom those relationships are intact, they got the benefit. And for whom those relationships are not intact, they did not get the benefit of the PPP. So the President and I, together with the Secretary, have been looking at how we can do better, knowing the mistakes that were made, and improve on what we need to do to bring relief to the businesses of our country to help our economy grow. So we are thinking of it in two ways as a general matter. There is the piece of it that is about what we need to do to get control of the public health component crisis of the pandemic. And so I'm going to talk for a minute about vaccines. And it is about getting our businesses back up and running, understanding those 2 points are inextricably linked. That one of the reasons we got into the catastrophe, the most recent catastrophe, I'm going to put aside pre-existing issues, but the most recent catastrophe around our Black businesses is because also we need to get control of the pandemic. So on the subject of the pandemic, we have crafted, and the President has proposed the American Rescue Plan. And a large part of that plan is focused on vaccination. And so, for example, we are putting in $400 billion to have a vaccine distribution plan. And this is the first time that the federal government has come in, sadly, since the pandemic started, to support states to do the vaccine distribution piece. But that's going to be up and running. So part of what we're going to ask is for your assistance and support for that component, not only of the American Rescue Plan, but what we need to do to actually make it work, meaning getting folks to go and get vaccinated. Because it's good to have a vaccine, but if folks don't get vaccinated, it won't save the lives we intend to save. We also have a part that is basically about bringing the economy back to full employment. And doing that in a way that we understand that Black workers see the biggest wage gains when the economy is at full employment. So the way we're going to do that is, yes, by the vaccinations, but also we need to open schools and reopen them safely. So that is part of our American Rescue Plan. Also, we made a commitment for $2,000 of relief to families. There was a down payment on that in the previous bill of $600, and we intend with this next bill, the American Rescue Plan, to have $1,400 checks going out to those folks who are most in need by way of relief, to help them get through this moment of crisis so that at the end of it, they can get back up and recover in the way that we intend. And also, more specifically, for our businesses, we are also creating a specific package of relief that is about $15 billion. This did not exist in previous bills, in the relief bill. $15 billion going to grant programs, not loans, grants, targeted at our smallest businesses, of which the majority of Black businesses are, and targeted at our Black and brown and minority-owned businesses. So this is some of the work we are doing, in addition to, as the Secretary said, what we are doing around the CDFIs, the Community Development Financial Institutions. And as a point of personal pride, that was one of the last things I worked on when I was in the Senate, together with Senator Cory Booker, Senator Mark Warner, and others. And the idea is basically to put more capital, to infuse more resources into our community banks, knowing that those are the ones that have the relationships with our businesses and are best equipped to support them, not only by way of grants and loans, but also by way of helping them grow their businesses, helping and surrounding them with the infrastructure of skills and resources they need to sustain a business. So these are some of the areas of focus.
This right here, Michael, is where, again, targeted efforts need to be made, unlike where you had the Trump folks, who was all about big business and helping those who already got money.
Well, not only was it all about big business and helping those that already have money, it was also removing the inspector general who watched over how the money was distributed. Okay. And then we found out that you had like some Trump-related businesses or something like that got money as well from the first round of the I think it was the first round of the stimulus bill. So this is extremely good. I'm glad Madam Vice President Kamala Harris had this meeting along with Janet Yellen, and once again, this is an example of how politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. It's important for us to go back and look at the article from Forbes.com from April of 2020.
So it is
41%
Friday.
of Black-owned businesses had gone out of business because of the COVID economy as of April 2020. Now it's probably at least 50%. So what we just saw is an example of how elections have consequences and African Americans vote their interests. So we have to follow through on this. But what I just saw, that's a good start.
I keep saying, you should follow the money, follow the money, follow the money.
All right, pause it there,
At the end
Jalen.
of the day.
Pause it there. All right. Okay, so 2 articles I want to go to. So I talked about this on our Friday show. Go back and listen to our February 5th show because I had more time. I went more in depth into it. But this is an example, once again, of how elections have consequences and understanding how politics and policies and laws shape the economy that your African American owned business depends upon to operate and thrive. If we look at the unemployment numbers that came out Friday, okay, it was like 49,000 jobs created, which is showing the anemic recovery. But for December, the December jobs report, it was like 227,000 jobs lost. All right. If we look at this article here quickly from NBC News, go read this and then go to BLS.gov, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and read the full unemployment report there. So the jobs numbers come out the first Friday of each month. And then the unemployment report, which deals with how many people filed for unemployment the previous week, that comes out every Thursday about 8:30 a.m. We look at this article from NBC News, and we talked about this on my Friday show. Economy lost 140,000 jobs last month, and finally, okay, that's not the one I want. I want the one from, okay, this is the one I want right here. We talked about that one also. I want the one dealing with the jobs report that came out Friday. This is for, this is the January 2021 jobs report. This one right here. This is from NBC News. U.S. economy added just 49,000 jobs in January, signaling ongoing fragility of labor market. Okay. Well, when you read this article here, in most of our businesses, whether African American or white business, most of our businesses operate based upon the premise that customers have money to spend with us in our businesses so we can stay in business. So in 2016, when people were saying, you know, we don't need to vote, we just need to do economic empowerment, invest in the stock market, I said, that's good. But you also need to elect a president whose policies are going to protect the economy that your Black-owned business depends upon to survive. So a lot of our businesses operate based upon the premise that people have money to spend with us. Well, when you have 18 million people who are unemployed, nearly 18 million Americans continue to receive unemployment benefits of some kind. Okay. And we know that as of April 2020, 41% of African American owned businesses have gone out of business. That's April 2020. You read the article from Forbes.com. And it's probably at least 50% now. Okay. So all of this is connected. This is why the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan is so important, not just for individuals, not just for African Americans individuals, not just dealing with employment, but also the impact it will have on African American businesses as well. Now, in 2016, there were 4 million African American owned businesses. In 2016, it's probably down to 2 million now. Read this article from Forbes.com. The COVID-19 crisis has wiped out nearly half of Black small businesses. This is from Forbes.com. Now, I taught entrepreneurship for 7 years. I got a whole background in business. My degree's in business administration. Okay. So this is the type of stuff I lived and breathed for years. I've been studying African history for about 28 years. But when I was at Wayne State University in the business school, I was also studying African history and culture at the same time. The COVID-19 crisis has wiped out nearly half of Black small businesses. Read this article. This article is from August 10th, 2020. It's even worse now. It's even worse now. Okay. And one of the things that's important to understand, because I know a lot of people say we're going to do like the Asians and just build businesses because they think Asians don't vote, which is not true. Asians do vote. And if you go to NBCnews.com and type in Asian American, they got a whole Asian American platform with articles dealing with the Asian American community. I read them. And it dealt with Asians voting in the 2020 election and the midterm election, 2018, things like that. So our history is different than Asians. We voted at a higher percentage because our history is different. So when you talk about Asian Americans, you're talking about people who come from at least 20 different countries, speak different languages, have different cultures, and many of them come from countries where they couldn't vote. Some of them come from totalitarian countries or dictatorships where they could not vote. African Americans are a much more homogenous group than Asian Americans, even though African Americans are not a monolith. We are a much more homogenous group if you actually understand our history. In 1900, 90% of African Americans lived in the South. It wasn't because we liked the heat. It was a legacy of slavery. Black businesses experienced the most acute decline with a 41% drop. Latino or Latinx, some Latinos don't like that term. Latino business owners fell by 32%, and Asian business owners dropped by 26% because Asians were closing their businesses also. Okay, so go read this article. Now, if we go back and look at the one from thegrio.com, and April Ryan wrote a good article for the Grio. that was picked up by Yahoo News, okay, dealing with this meeting with Black Chambers of Commerce. The administration is focused on the American Rescue Plan, ARP, American Rescue Plan provisions to include providing $15 billion in grants to the hardest hit small businesses. That includes African American owned businesses. Okay. Now, some people say, well, and I've dealt with this before, teaching entrepreneurship. Some African American owned businesses don't have the paperwork in order. Okay. Well, if you want to get the money, you got to get your paperwork in order. 1, 2, you got to apply for the money. If you don't apply for the money, you can't complain about not getting money. You can't complain about not winning the lottery and you ain't buy a ticket. Let's just be honest. Okay. I know there's discrimination, racism, all that stuff, and the racism is system of advantage and privilege, based on race. But if you don't apply for the money, you can't sit back and complain you didn't get the money. I know there were problems with the PPP previously. Okay. And not enough money going to African American owned businesses. They're working on fixing that, but still, you still have to apply for the money. It's not like you just wake up in the morning and the money's in your bank account and you didn't have to do anything. But some people just want to complain. Okay, so now also one thing this article points out: White House sources contend in just 1 month, November to December, an estimated 82,000 Black women lost their jobs. An estimated 82,000 Black women lost their jobs. That has a devastating impact on the African American community, which is the result of bad public policy and Trump mishandling the coronavirus pandemic, which then tanked the U.S. economy and tanked the job market. Okay, so read this article here. This is by April Ryan for the Griot, picked up by Yahoo News from February 5th, 2021. Vice President Harris hosts roundtable with Black Chambers of Commerce. Then there was one from, which one is this? This is from pressherald.com. Administration pledges more support for minority businesses. Okay, let's look at this quickly before we're out of time here. Also, be sure to register for my online course. It starts up Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Now, somebody said, well, I won't be able to tune in on Tuesdays. We do the sessions live. They're all recorded. You can go back and watch it whenever you get ready to, okay? You can go back and watch it. So if you can't watch it a Thursday or Friday, that's fine. And if you can't attend class live, that's fine also. It's on demand. You can go watch it whenever you want to. We do the classes live, but they're archived, so you go back and watch whenever you want to. Okay, so it's regularly $130 on sale, $80. We just posted the link here. You can register for it. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content from the 2019 class that I did. And we do a PowerPoint presentation. We have video clips, book references. I talked to Sister Nubia Warford, who's a cultural anthropologist. She does archaeological digs in the Sudan. We're going to have her speak to the class also. So you don't want to miss this. Visit AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's right on the homepage. You can register there. Read this article from Press Herald. Administration pledges more support for minority businesses. Okay, those watching on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching. We're out of time here on 910 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Stay tuned for whoever. I'm not sure who it is now. Stay tuned for whoever's next. We'll talk to you next week. Peace. We'll talk to you Monday night. We're back here Monday night. Tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Okay, let's keep going. All right. How's everybody doing? Also, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Okay. And when you go to our website, we'll come back to this article here by Kamala Harris. I mean, this is really good what they're doing. Meeting with African American owned businesses, because this is tying in. You can go and watch the whole 1 hour virtual meeting. This is tying into the plight of African American owned businesses. Okay. And this is understanding how policies directly impact your business and directly impact how much money you have in your pocket. This is dealing with how policies impact economics and economic conditions. All right. Let's look at this one here just quickly. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. All right. Let me just show you this quickly here. So when you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and when you go to AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, it comes up with theAfricanHistoryNetwork.net. That's my website also on that as well. And I'm redesigning the website also. So when you scroll down, it has information about the African History Network show, all of that. And then read articles. You click here, you can read articles that I write. It has information here about the online course. Starts up February 9th, 2021. Okay, and then just click right here for register here. Okay, and then it takes you here. Just click on enroll. It's on sale $80, regular $130. Once you enroll, you can start watching the content from when I did the class in October 2019, because we have all that. We have that class still archived also. You can start watching that. And then I'll enroll you into the new course that starts up Tuesday. All right. Okay. Let's continue here. Let's go back to I want to go back to this article dealing with Kamala Harris. And I use books as reference in the course. You don't have to buy any of these books. You don't have to feel obligated to buy any of these books to follow along in the course, anything. If you want to have them for your own personal library and to read, that's fine. But you don't have to buy any of these books to be able to follow along in the class. These are two books that I use, and this deals with the history of the Moors. Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Golden Age of the Moor. I think this is out of print. You could probably find it at African American owned bookstores. If you try to get it online from Amazon, maybe $200 or $300. You get it from African American owned bookstores, you get it maybe 30, 40, something like that. And then this one here from Ronoko Rashidi, Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe. Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe. Okay. And Ronoko hit me up. So we're going to have him on the show sometime soon. I have to get back with him. So many people I have to interview. Okay. So let's go back to this article here from pressherald.com. And let's see here. Okay, so Vice President Kamala Harris and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen hold a virtual meeting with officials representing some of the 140 chapters of the Black Chamber of Commerce around the country. Some 140 chapters of Black Chambers of Commerce around the country. So something else that's important to do for African American owned businesses is to join some type of Black Chamber of Commerce, because they have all types of resources and help for small businesses, especially African American owned businesses. So when we look at this article here, it talks about how the Biden administration promised Black business executives on Friday that it planned to make sure the government's economic support programs were able to reach minority-owned businesses. And let's see, Harris and Yellen spoke at a virtual meeting with officials representing some of the 140 chapters of the Black Chambers of Commerce around the country. The appearance was part of the administration's ongoing effort to win support for President Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan. Biden and Harris told executives that there would be an effort to simplify the application forms and to provide support for businesses trying to access the loans being administered by the Small Business Administration and the Treasury Department. Now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said she had focused much of her economic research over the years on racial disparities in economic outcomes, She said when she began her studies around 1963, the average Black family had roughly 15% of the household wealth of the average white family. Okay, in 1963, the average African American family had roughly 15% of the household wealth of the average white family, and this difference was essentially unchanged more than half a century later. She said that the rate of unemployment among African Americans was twice the unemployment rate among white Americans in the early 1960s, and that rate has remained steady over the last half century as well. Now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the country was set back by the 2008 financial crisis and the long, slow recovery of the economic downturn, with Black unemployment peaking at almost 17% compared to a high of 9.2% for white unemployment during the period. Okay, quote, this is what economic crises do. They hit people of color harder and longer. I am worried that the current crisis will do that again unless action is taken. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris said the administration is determined to improve the Paycheck Protection Program with a high priority on providing more assistance for small businesses seeking the loans. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the administration believes it has learned lessons from the failures exposed during the first round of paycheck loans. She said the Biden administration was taking steps to make sure that businesses left out of the first round of loan application would receive support in the next round of applications. Okay, so read the rest of this article here. This is from pressherald.com. I read a number of different articles dealing with this virtual meeting that took place. Okay. Administration pledges more support for minority businesses. All right. So check out that article. And now some people may say, well, why they say minority businesses? Why they have a pot of money for minorities? The question, my response to that, as somebody who has managed two African American companies that had government contracts with the city of Detroit, county of Wayne, and the state of Michigan, and who helped these companies get contracts and renew our certifications to become certified vendors of Wayne County, the county of Wayne, which is the county that Detroit is in, because we had contracts with the county. The question I would ask is, why aren't we focused on being the majority of the quote unquote minorities applying and getting the money? If the money is there, other people are going to focus on getting the money. Why wouldn't we focus on being the majority of the quote unquote minorities who apply and get the money? I mean, that's just how I think. As somebody who's like actually managed a business and we won government contracts, and I've been up 2-3 o'clock in the morning putting together bid packages on the phone with the owner of the company, and then we got to submit it. We have to submit the bid package, in the morning, and we got to submit it along with because sometimes when you bid on contracts, see, we had to, I remember a couple contracts, we had to submit a $10,000 good faith certified check to knock out the lowball bidders. Okay. See, this is something that some municipalities do to knock out, because people can come in with a lowball bid and say, hey, we can do this. And then after you win the contract, then they want to negotiate to increase the amount of the contract they want to negotiate, because you can't possibly do it for that small amount of money. So to knock out people like that, a lot of times counties or cities, they'll require you to put up a certified check for a certain amount of money. And that eliminates a lot of lowball bidders. So because I've had to deliver the check. Okay. So I understand that. All right. Next story. How's everybody doing? Let's see here. Okay. We have Ronnie. We have Greg. And who else we have here? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Also, Toya said we have to learn grant writing. That's true. We have to learn grant writing, but also learn. Okay, well, when you say grant writing, I think you mean learning how to apply and get grants. I think that's what you're calling. That's what you're referring to. So everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. There's on PBS, there is a documentary that's going to be shown dealing with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. And we're not going to have a lot of time to get to this, but I want to let you all know about this so you can check this out. I was reading the article from TulsaWorld.com. And I printed out this article. It's 33 pages. Need to buy a new color ink cartridge. It's going out on me. But it's a fascinating article here dealing with Black Wall Street. And I've done lectures dealing with the history of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we're coming up on the 100th anniversary of the attack on Black Wall Street, the North Tulsa district of Tulsa, where African Americans lived and where a business district was, and it began at the intersection of Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. This is where it's believed the Gap Band gets their name from, GAP, Gap, because they're from Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. So there's an article from Tulsa World, PBS to rebroadcast 1913 documentary, 1913 documentary about Black Wall Street on Monday. So they're going to broadcast this on Monday, February 8th, 2021. Monday, February 8th, 2021. And the film is produced by Sam Pollard and Joyce Vaughn. Sam Pollard and Joyce Vaughn. It was written by Tulsa native Carmen Fields, who is a journalist and media consultant now based in Boston. Okay, so the name of this article, is going to be on American Experience. And it's from originally 1993. But I think they're showing this for African American History Month. And also we're coming up on the 100th year anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre. Let's look at this here. So check out this article. This is originally from February 7th. It was updated February 7th, 2021. It's originally from January 10th, 2021. In 1993, the PBS series American Experience aired Going Back to T-Town, going back to T-Town, referring to Tulsa, which was an hour-long documentary that gave an overview to the rise, destruction, and resurrection of the North Tulsa neighborhood that had earned the title America's Black Wall Street, America's Black Wall Street. As the 100th anniversary of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre approaches, American Experience will rebroadcast the documentary at 8 p.m. February 8th on most PBS stations. The film, produced by Sam Pollard and Joyce Vaughn, was written by Tulsa native Carmen Fields, a journalist and media consultant now based in Boston, Massachusetts. Actor Ozzie Davis is the film's narrator. Now, Cameo George, executive producer of American Experience, said in a statement, Going Back to T-Town is a film that was made for the series nearly 30 years ago, and yet it remains shockingly relevant today. Being able to pull this film out of the vault for rebroadcast is a special opportunity and a reminder of the unique legacy of the series. Now, when the film Going Back to T-Town premiered in 1993, the Tulsa World's review called it a slick and intelligent piece of documentary filmmaking that should intrigue longtime Greenwood aficionados and newcomers to the story alike. Now, that story includes pointing out that the true legacy of Greenwood was not the destruction visited upon the community in 1921, but how it managed to thrive before and after the massacre. Okay. Now, one of the books, like I said, I printed out this article, and I'm going through reading the full thing now. This article is 33 pages. Okay. And it's a lot of history. A lot of this history I know because one of the sources they cite here, I read the book, and I've done a 2.5-hour lecture dealing with the history of Black Wall Street. But this is, this is page 32 right here. I mean, this is a book that I printed up. Okay. But one of the best books dealing with the history of Black Wall Street is by Hannibal B. Johnson. And that's this book here. This book here by Hannibal B. Johnson, Black Wall Street from Riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's historic Greenwood District. Black Wall Street from Riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's historic Greenwood District. This is probably one of the best books dealing with the history of Black Wall Street. Robin Walker has one too. Robin Walker is a brilliant historian. He has a good book also dealing with Black Wall Street as well. Okay, let's continue here. So the story includes pointing out that the true legacy of Greenwood was not the destruction visited upon the community in 1921, but how it managed to thrive before and after the massacre. What's important to note is that they rebuilt Black Wall Street. They rebuilt North Tulsa after the race massacre, after the race riot, and they rebuilt it with their own dollars because they did not get government help. And the insurance companies, most of the insurance claims for the businesses that were destroyed, the insurance companies didn't pay out on those claims. So we rebuilt Black Wall Street with our own dollars and had another thriving African-American owned business district. A lot of people don't know that history after the 1921 race riot. They think race massacre. They think Black Wall Street was just burnt to the ground and that was it. No, that's not true. We rebuilt it with our own dollars. This is why we really have to study this history, because oftentimes people use Tulsa, Oklahoma as an example of why we can't have something, because they say white people destroyed it. No, we rebuilt it. So we have to understand that history. And yes, the expressways are going to come through and wipe out a lot of it. In 1970s, expressways come through. Yes, after desegregation, we're going to spend some of our money with go into South Tulsa and spend some of our money with white businesses. But the other thing that happened is a lot of the pioneers died out, in their descendants a lot of them sold the land, moved away, things like that. You have a number of different things that happened. But Tulsa was not destroyed because of the race riot. We rebuilt it. And even when the race massacre happened, all of Tulsa wasn't burnt down because the American Red Cross set up a makeshift hospital inside of Booker T. Washington High School. The high school was still standing. So a lot of the town was destroyed, but all of it wasn't just burnt to the ground. I have a 2.5-hour lecture dealing with the history of Black Wall Street. So it's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you want to order that, we have it on DVD and digital download. Okay. Also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, because of African American History Month, we have a 15 DVD bundle pack. The Michael Imhotep 15 DVD bundle pack. It includes 15 of my lectures. We're shipping out a lot of these orders this week. Includes 15 of my lectures. And if you, on the homepage, you scroll down right below the information for the online class. we have this, the 15 DVD bundle pack. Okay, includes 15 of my lectures. It's on sale $100, and includes lectures dealing with the history of Black Walls, the film Black Panther, history of Black History Month, and Dr. Carter G. Woodson, all different types of things like that. Okay, it's a 15 DVD bundle pack. And we also have that available on digital download as well. All right, so check that out. And we'll post the information here for the bundle pack as well. Okay, so it's a fascinating history dealing with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So what we'll do on either our Monday or Tuesday show, because I'm going to watch it also Monday, we'll talk about it on our show either Monday night or Tuesday night. If we're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. The African History Network show, and we're here Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time also. So when you buy DVD lectures or sign up for an online class or you donate to the African History Network, that helps us to keep doing all this and doing the research and making a time commitment to be here and do research for all these shows. Okay, now as the Tulsa World's review states of the documentary, the 1993 documentary, Greenwood had been founded before statehood, and the residents dug in and refused to be crushed by the oppressive Jim Crow laws, which the new legislators passed among their first orders of business. Now, Tulsa, Oklahoma was founded by Creek Indians. Tulsa, Oklahoma was founded by Creek Indians around 1834, 1836. The Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians all owned African slaves. And when they get pushed off their land in southeastern United States because of the Indian Removal Act, signed into law in 1830 by President Andrew Jackson, which was Donald Trump's favorite president, what are known as the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans, they all go out west on what's known as the Trail of Tears, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians. Okay, and they take their African slaves with them. So about a third of the people on the Trail of Tears were African people. There was an article from Smithsonian Mag, and I've got so many articles. I'm trying to I gotta some articles I gotta throw out. I literally have thousands of articles printed. There was an article from, is this one right here? Okay, this is one of them. This is from SmithsonianMag.com, official website of the Smithsonian Institute. You got this article here, How Native American Slaveholders Complicate the Trail of Tears Narrative. How Native American slaveholders complicate the Trail of Tears narrative. The new exhibition, Americans at the National Museum, the new exhibition called Americans at the National Museum of the American Indian, prompts a deeper dive for historic truths. And it talks about the Trail of Tears. When you think of the Trail of Tears, you likely imagine a long procession of suffering Cherokee Indians forced westward by a villainous Andrew Jackson. Perhaps you envision unscrupulous white slaveholders whose interest in growing a plantation economy underlay the decision to expel the Cherokee, flooding in to take their place east of the Mississippi River. What you probably don't picture are Cherokee slaveholders, foremost among them Cherokee Chief John Ross, OSS, What you probably don't picture are the numerous African American slaves, Cherokee owned, who made the brutal march themselves or else were shipped en masse to what is now Oklahoma, aboard cramped boats by their wealthy Indian masters. And what you may not know is that the federal policy of Indian removal, which ranged far beyond the Trail of Tears and the Cherokee, was not simply the vindictive scheme of Andrew Jackson, but rather a popularly endorsed, congressionally sanctioned campaign spanning the administrations of 9 separate presidents. This is dealing with this. So the Trail of Tears is the culmination of all of this. These uncomfortable complications in the narrative were brought to the forefront at a recent event held at the National Museum of the American Indian, titled Finding Common Ground. The symposium, Finding Common Ground, the symposium offered a deep dive into the intersectional African American and Native American history. And a lot of us have, especially those of us that have roots in the South, a lot of us have Native American ancestry. I'm one of them because my mother's family is from Tennessee, and we have Cherokee and Blackfoot on my mother's side of the family. My great grandmother on my mother's side of the family was Blackfoot Indian, and her husband was Cherokee and Irish. And you're talking about Tennessee. So there's a deep, deep history here. See, we just think, you know, a lot of times when we think of African American ancestry, we just think of slaves. But we don't think of these African people who were enslaved. What was their ancestry? And we don't really look at the history of Africans and Native Americans intermixing. And then the other thing is that gets totally lost in the conversation. And this is something that Dr. David Imhotep deals with in the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. He talks about, right around page 67, how Captain John Smith said he was captured by a group of black Indians. Captain John Smith in 1607 in Virginia said he was captured by a group of black Indians. And one of the things that takes place is that there are already groups of Africans here in this land when European invaders or settlers, however you want to phrase it, come here, like in Virginia in 1607. A lot of the groups of Africans get reclassified as Native Americans. And this is one of the ways our population was absorbed. So if you don't understand that history, you don't know what happened to the populations. A lot of them get reclassified as Native Americans, but these were Africans. But then when you deal with the history of Native Americans, and we're going to make this long story extremely short because we've already gone past 2 hours, the people who we call Native Americans, the various Native American tribes, according to the U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs, about 567 federally recognized tribal nations dealing with Native Americans. These are the offspring of an intermixing of Africans and Asians. Africans being here going back at least 51,700 years ago to Khoisan. And you're going to have you have a big presence of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt here in the U.S. We'll talk about this in the class. But you have Asians who come to this land around 3000 BC, and the Africans and Asians intermix, and their offspring is who we've been taught to call Native Americans. But then you're also going to have Africans who are going to intermix with those Native Americans as well. So on page 65 of The First Americans or Africans Documented Evidence by Dr. David Imhotep, he talks about John Smith and Black Indians and says in 1607, the Englishman Captain John Smith built the first permanent Caucasian settlement in North America in Jamestown, Virginia. While building the settlement, Captain John Smith made contact with the Powhatan tribe. The Powhatans were part of the Algonquian speakers. That's another Native American nation. The Algonquian speakers, who were the largest group of Indians in Virginia as late as the time Captain John Smith arrived. There were more than 10,000 Algonquian in Virginia alone before the colonists arrived. Quote, Europeans called the Delaware Indians Redskins because of their reddish natural complexion and the vermilion makeup they were fond of and decorated their bodies. Therefore, they were unfortunately called Redskins and sometimes called Red Devils by the European settlers, also referring to their skin tone. In 1607, A.D. Smith, the initials A.D. Smith described the chief of the Powhatans, writing, quote, Powhatan, more like a devil than a man, with some 200 more as black as himself. When Captain John Smith described the chief indirectly, saying his braves were as black as he was, it is logical to assume that he too was black, B-L-A-C-K, capital B-L-A-C-K, black. When Captain John Smith described the Powhatans as devils and black, he was referring to skin tone. Dr. Clyde Winters agrees, saying, quote, early Americans would certainly be able to tell the difference between paint and complexion. In any case, whether the Powhatans were black at that late date or not does not change the fact that the first Americans were Africans. These first Americans remained black complexion until 3000 BC, when the first Asians entered and began to mix blood with the Proto-American Africans. Okay. So all this ties into the history of Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Creek Indians, all of that. It's all connected. So check out the documentary, Monday, February 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PBS, American Experience on PBS. And this deals with Black Wall Street, going back to T-Town. And we'll talk about the documentary here on the show. All right. Information dealing with the history of African American History Month. We'll have to deal with that Monday or Tuesday on the show. We're out of time. We've done 2.5 hours. Be sure to register for the online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Once again, we do it live on Tuesdays. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 consecutive Tuesdays. All the shows we record and archive. You can ask questions in class. You can do a live chat. You can go back and watch it over and over again. So if you miss some of it, you're working, what have you, you can watch it whenever you want to. And you can watch it a year from now if you want to. You still have access to it. Okay, so it's regularly $130 on sale, $80. As soon as you register, you can start watching the class that I did in 2019. You can start watching that content. So we have bonus content there. We'll talk about Leon Spinks on our Monday night show. We know he passed away. Friday. Leon Spinks, New York Times has a big write-up on him. So does USA Today. Leon Spinks, boxer who took Ali's crown and lost it, dies at 67. He was an Olympic champion with few pro fights under his belt when he surprised the world by beating Muhammad Ali in 1978. Now, Ali was way past his prime in 78, though. Most people know that because he won the championship at 22 years old, 1964, February 25th, 1964, beating Sonny Liston. Things did not go smoothly after that. You know, it's really a tragedy with Leon Spinks. But he beat Ali February 15th, 1978, won the heavyweight championship, lost it back to Ali later that year. Ali became first 3-time heavyweight champion. So he was 67 years old. His family announced in December 2019 that he had been hospitalized for treatment of prostate cancer that had spread to his bladder. Leon Spinks burst into view when he won the Olympic light heavyweight gold medal, and his brother Michael Spinks took gold in the middle heavyweight division at the 1976 Montreal Games. We know Michael Spinks became a heavyweight champion also. Leon Spinks had fought professionally only 7 times with 6 victories and a draw before facing Muhammad Ali at the Las Vegas Hilton on February 15, 1978, in a bout arranged by Bob Arum, one of boxing's legendary promoters. Ali held the World Boxing Association and World Boxing Council titles, but at 36, though an overwhelming betting favorite, he was past his prime. He weighed in at 224 pounds to Spinks 197. Spinks was a hard charging brawler, but when he pressured Ali in the ring, the champion Ali resorted to his rope-a-dope strategy, which was aimed at letting an opponent exhaust himself with punches that seldom did damage while Ali rested on the ropes. The Spinks corner had a strategy of its own aimed at weakening Ali. Spinks trainer George Benton said in the dressing room afterward, "Jab, jab, jab, that was the plan. Hit him on the left shoulder all night with the jab." Ali rallied in the 15th round, but Spinks warded him off and won a split decision. After the fight's end, Ali had purple bruises above and below his right eye. His forehead was swollen near his left eye, and blood dripped from his lower lip. Quote, he had the will to win and the stamina. Ali said he hit pretty hard. Okay, so we'll talk some more about Leon Spinks on probably Monday or Tuesday, and we'll talk about the documentary as well on Black Wall Street. Okay. All right. African American business owners, supposed to name your business here on the thread of the broadcast, and email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. We have probably 3 more advertising slots available. Current promotion: buy 1 month, get 1 month free. Okay, buy 1 month, get 1 month free. And email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And I'm working on commercials each day this week. All right. So, hey, we're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to register for our online course. We'll see you in class. We'll be back here Monday night. You can also donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. If you want to do 10, 15, 25, whatever, 50, 100. If you want to set up a recurring donation, you can do that also through PayPal. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you Monday. And we'll do some birthday acknowledgments also, because it was Bob Marley's birthday, November 6th. It was Bob Marley, and past couple of days we had Natalie Cole, and so we'll deal with birthday shout outs and acknowledgments also. All right, talk to y'all later. Peace.
For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid El Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com. Have you tasted the world-famous No Frowny Brownie yet from the Pink Bakery? If not, what are you waiting for? They are vegan, gluten-free, and free of the big 8 allergens. While eating their No Frowny Brownies, the fabulous Miss Tabitha Brown said they were very good. Very good. And you know, if she says that, they are. The Pink Bakery is the first Black-owned, Big 8 allergen-free baking mix company. Go to thepinkbakery.com, that's thepinkbakery.com, to order their No Frowny Brownie Mix today. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products. Gain knowledge in minutes with Blacklist Ed. Blacklist Ed is an app that provides insightful summaries of books pertaining to the Black experience. As Black people, we know the importance of reading books to discover our incredible contributions to world history, to uplift our self-esteem, and to empower ourselves for our relentless fight for social justice. Unfortunately, with our busy lives, it feels like there is never enough time to read a book. Fortunately, there's a solution. With Blacklist Ed, their app provides key insights from best-selling books about the Black experience, therefore saving you time, increasing your knowledge, and empowering yourself through inspirational and actionable ideas. You can read or listen on the go. Start your free trial today by going to blacklisted.com. That's Black without the C, B-L-A-K. Or you can download the Blacklist Ed app from the App Store or Google Play. Blacklist Ed, empower yourself. Yaya Rule is a line of African print-inspired apparel catered to the Black community. The pieces include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, dresses, skirts, activewear, bags, and other accessories and home decor. This brand offers a revived way for men and women to wear their black pride and honor their African